Oksana, I found him, exclaimed her friend Nastya excitedly. Oksana let out a sigh and replied, Who did you find this time? Another perfect man? Yes, confirmed Anastasia, but he's truly perfect. Nastya, I've heard this before, said Oksana wearily. Just 2 weeks ago, it was Maxim with his supposedly incredible eyes. Remind me, what went wrong with him? He's just dumb, answered Nastya. There's absolutely nothing to talk about with him. All right, nodded Oksana. And what about before Maxim, Alexei, Andrei? What's the big deal? I'm searching, replied Nastya. We're almost 30, Oksana. I want to get married. You should follow my example, by the way. And don't even mention Sergei. You've been together for 4 years, living in separate apartments, and he hasn't even thought about proposing. Nastya, don't be so judgmental, Oksana defended. Sergei is a good guy, but he needs time. 4 years isn't enough, Nastya retorted. Listen, Oksana, face the truth. He's comfortable. He won't change anything. He's content with the way things are. Oksana fell silent. Deep down, she knew her friend was right. But for now, she wasn't ready to leave Sergei. She had grown accustomed to him. They had a good relationship, and perhaps she, too, found comfort in their situation. So what's so special about your current boyfriend? Oksana changed the subject. By the way, where did you meet him this time? At school, Nastya replied. What school? Oksana was confused. Wait, you're not telling me you went back to high school? Please tell me that's not true. And why were you even at school? Nastya snorted and said, I wasn't in school. What do you think of me, going after high school boys? Besides, many schools have young and attractive teachers. Why didn't you think of them? Did you meet a teacher then? Oksana inquired. No, I don't even know where he works, Nastya replied. Anyway, I found my first love on the internet, she said, looking at Oksana triumphantly. And then what? Oksana asked, still struggling to comprehend. Don't you get it? Nastya replied indignantly, he's perfect. We were perfect together. Oksana shook her head. Then why did you break up? I was uprooted in 10th grade. My dad got transferred for work, and we had to move away, Nastya explained. We lost touch. We didn't think we'd ever return, so it didn't seem necessary to stay connected. Then, 2 years later, when we moved back here, I chose not to look for him. I was young and foolish, thinking it would be easy to find another perfect relationship. I believed I would find someone better. But about 3 years ago, I realized I didn't need to search anymore. Nikita was my soulmate. Destiny had already brought us together, so I began my search, and today, I found him. Oksana couldn't believe what she was hearing. Are you telling me all of this seriously? Nastya responded, why would I joke about it? So, you haven't spoken to him in nearly 15 years. You have no idea about his current life, his occupation, but you've already concluded that he is your destiny, Oksana pointed out. Yes, Nastya affirmed. Don't be so skeptical. Nikita was amazing. I've already reached out to him and asked to meet. What's so perplexing about that? It's worth a shot. We were great together back then. Maybe it can be great now. And you don't even consider the possibility that he might have been married for a long time. Oksana questioned. No, Nastya replied confidently, he's not married. How do you know? Inquired Oksana. Have you already asked him? No, I just know, Nastya insisted. He's not married. Otherwise, fate wouldn't have brought us together again. Oksana simply threw her hands up in exasperation. How could she argue with that kind of reasoning? So, has he responded to you yet? Oksana asked. He has. We're meeting the day after tomorrow, Nastya explained. You'll see, it's going to be amazing. He's the man I've been waiting for all these years. The timing couldn't be more perfect. I'm confident we're both ready for a committed relationship now. We're going to have a wonderful future together. Despite Oksana's initial skepticism, she couldn't help but feel excited and curious about Nastya's meeting with her first love. So when Nastya called the next day and suggested they meet, Oksana eagerly agreed without hesitation. "Why the long face?" Nastya asked as they met up. "Is it Seryoshenko again?" Oksana sighed and admitted, "Yes. First, he told me he would be busy today. And when I agreed to meet up with you, he suddenly changed his plans. And you two had a fight because you chose to leave instead of staying with him," Nastya guessed. Oksana confirmed. "I don't want to talk about it. Instead, why don't you tell me how your meeting with your first love went yesterday?" The girls entered the cafe, and Nastya plopped down irritably on the nearest chair. "You know, it was awful," she said with frustration. "I truly believed it was destiny. I was so happy when I found his profile. But oh," she shook her head. "What? Is he married?" Oksana asked, concerned. "Marriage would have been better," Nastya snorted. "I just didn't like him." "What?" Oksana's eyes widened. "How could you not like him? He was perfect, your destiny." Nastya looked at her friend and pouted her lips. "Are you kidding me?" she asked. Oksana chuckled and admitted, "Well, maybe just a little. It's just that you were so excited, and now, Nastya, are you being too hasty?" she questioned. "You're impulsive, my dear. You spent only a couple of hours with him, and you've already concluded that you don't like him. You didn't even have time to have a proper conversation. Maybe you just talked about school and classmates." "We did," Nastya confessed. "He's just kind of boring. I remember high school. It was so much fun. We had all sorts of competitions in class, arguments, and playful pranks. But that's not what he remembers. He only talks about the teachers and our routine in class. Everything he says is so proper, it's almost painful." "Listen, my friend, that's not the biggest flaw," Oksana said, trying to reason with her. "Why are you defending him?" Nastya asked suspiciously. "I'm not defending him," Oksana clarified. "It's just that you're being too picky, and I believe in giving people a second chance. After all the effort you put into finding him, doesn't he deserve that?" Nastya pondered over Oksana's words. "Well, maybe you're right," she reluctantly agreed. "He has already reached out to me. He wants to meet again. Can you imagine? He's glad I contacted him, and thinks we should stay in touch." "Then go for it," Oksana encouraged. "I will, but I'm not going alone," Nastya declared. "You're coming with me." Oksana was taken aback. "Are you serious? What am I supposed to do? It's a date, and you want to bring your girlfriend along." "It's not a date, it's just a meeting. I want you to be there and give your perspective. It's important for me to understand if maybe I'm biased against him," Nastya explained. No, and no," Oksana firmly refused. "I'm not going anywhere. Don't even try to convince me." "Well, Oksana, please, nobody but you can help me. You're my best friend. You have to help me," Nastya pleaded. "Okay," Oksana reluctantly agreed. "But please, let him know that you're not coming alone, but with a friend. And hopefully, he'll be sensible enough to decline the meeting." "I doubt it," Nastya responded. "Wait, let me message him." A few minutes later, Nastya's face lit up with excitement. "He agreed," she informed her friend. "He was even happy about it. We're meeting the day after tomorrow, right here." Oksana closed her eyes and let out a groan. "What have I gotten myself into? And I'm really glad you'll be there. Firstly, let your Seryosa see that you have your own life and you won't come running to him at the drop of a hat. And secondly, help me evaluate Nikita. But promise me this, if you don't like him, just tell me honestly. Don't sugarcoat things like you usually do." Oksana chuckled. "All right," she agreed. "I won't hold back. I was afraid you might change your mind," she said to her friend. "You haven't changed your mind." "No, I haven't changed my mind," her friend replied. "I don't want to go out with him at all. I only agreed because you talked me into it." "Nastya, you can't do that," she admonished. "You wrote to him yourself. You called him for the first meeting. For a whole hour, you've been telling me how perfect he is and how everything will be fine with you. It's just unfair to him to change your mind so quickly." Nerd, Nastya retorted. Let's go. You'll see for yourself that I'm right. At the cafe, Nastya introduced her friend to a very attractive guy. Oksana immediately liked him, finding him manly, calm, and reasonable. However, she knew that Nastya, who was prone to fickleness, would quickly lose interest in him. On the other hand, opposites attract, and perhaps he could temper Nastya's stormy temperament while she could bring some excitement to Nikita's life. The man didn't seem bothered at all by Nastya bringing her friend along. He was equally friendly with both girls. So how long have you known each other? He inquired. 5 years, Nastya answered. We worked together. Tell us about yourself, Nikita, Oksana asked. Nastya only managed to tell us that you studied together. I don't even know what to say, Nikita replied. I don't really like talking about myself. I enjoy playing the guitar and going on long car rides. That's basically it. Nastya nudged Oksana with her elbow, giving her a meaningful look. But Oksana was determined not to give up. She had come here to evaluate whether this guy was suitable for her friend or not, and she wasn't going to give in so easily. And where do you work? She asked. I work at a factory, Nikita answered. It's a really interesting job. We manufacture agricultural machinery. Nastya let out an audible sigh and rolled her eyes. Nikita smiled slightly. Let's change the subject, he suggested. I love my work and can talk about it for hours, but I want to make it interesting for everyone. Both girls involuntarily looked at Nastya, intrigued by what he had in mind. No, Nastya replied. I'm okay with it. Tell me more. What do you do at the plant? I'm an engineer. I'm responsible for the assembly line part, Nikita explained. And what do you do? I remember in high school you wanted to be a model. You even went to castings and had a few shoots. Yeah, Anastasia brightened up. But it didn't work out. I participated in a few shoots, but I couldn't become a professional model. Then I pursued theater, and of course, I wanted to be an actress. That didn't quite work out either. But my work is still connected to art, and I enjoy it. So, where do you work? Nastya asked. I work in the theater, Nastya replied. It turns out I'm quite skilled at sewing, and I have a great sense of style. So now I'm a costume designer. That's a really interesting job, and you also work in the theater? Nikita asked Oksana. No, Oksana answered. But a few years ago, we helped the theater renovate their sets. That's how we met. So, what do you think of him? Nastya demanded as soon as the girls were in the car together. He seems like a normal guy, Oksana sincerely replied. Ox, no, Nastya protested. Well, he is. What? Boring? Proper? Boring? Oksana asked. All of that, Nastya nodded. And I think you're wrong, Oksana said. Yes, he may have a quiet personality, but he's friendly and caring. He seemed interested in reconnecting with you. He wants to communicate with you, and that's not a small part of it. So, Nastya asked, playing with her hair, should I just fall at his feet with joy? He wants to, you see, but do I want to? Nastya, don't be offended, but you keep saying that you want to get married. Only, who'll you marry? Someone like Jina, I think his name was. You mean the DJ? Yeah, his name is Jina. Well, he wasn't boring, was he? And you really liked him. But you broke up for some reason, Oksana pointed out. We didn't break up for some reason, Nastya reminded her. He cheated on me. That's the point, Oksana nodded. Maybe it's time to draw some conclusions. Don't you think you need someone different from your usual type of guy to consider marrying? Someone more reliable. Oksana entered her apartment, feeling tired as she tossed her keys onto the nightstand. The meeting at the cafe today had unexpectedly triggered thoughts about her own life. She and Seryoza had been together for years, but their relationship seemed stagnant. And perhaps Nastya was right when she mentioned. Her thoughts were interrupted by the ringing of her phone. She couldn't help but smile. It was Seryoza? Where are you? He asked abruptly as she picked up the phone. I'm at home, she replied. I just came by, and you weren't there. I just walked in, Oksana explained. What's with the tone? I don't like my girlfriend coming home around 11 o'clock at night. Where have you been? Hanging out with that little twerp Nastya again? She's a bad influence on you, Seryoza criticized. Sergey, Oksana interjected. I don't really understand the purpose of this conversation. Yes, I went out with Nastya. Yes, I've met her a few times this week. So what? You have your own meetings with friends all the time, and I don't complain about it. That's different, Sergey argued. When I hang out with the guys, we stay home and watch soccer. There's no chance to meet anyone. Of course, that's what matters, Oksana replied sarcastically. So why did you come here anyway? I wanted to spend the evening with my girlfriend. Oh, so you suddenly remembered you have a girlfriend. Are all your buddies busy tonight, and you didn't want to cook for yourself? Oksana asked vulnerably. Oksana, Sergey warned. Think about what you're saying. Those are not your thoughts, they're Nastya's thoughts. She's always alone and wants you to be single too. She's intentionally trying to break us up. What does Nastya have to do with anything? Oksana asked, annoyed. We each have our own apartments, and every time I bring up the idea of moving in together, you change the subject. You only need me around a couple of times a week, just for a few hours. This is not a real relationship, Seryoza. I don't want it anymore. Well, just wait a couple more months, and I'll propose to you, Seryoza replied. And I don't want to wait, Oksana stated firmly. I don't want to wait any longer, and I don't need your proposal. Find someone else who will wait for you and believe all your promises. I'm done with you. Seriously? Seryoza asked, surprised. You're breaking up with me over the phone like this? Out of the blue? There are plenty of reasons, and if you're not satisfied with the phone, then come here. I'm ready to say it to your face, Oksana asserted. Are you sure? Seryoza asked after a pause. If I leave, I'm not coming back. Well, good riddance, Oksana replied. Oksana ended the call and continued to twist the phone in her hands. Her initial impulse was to call back and apologize, but she restrained herself. That's not what she needed. She remembered the evening at the cafe and Nikita. He had been polite, considerate, and attentive. And Seryoza? No, enough was enough. It couldn't continue like this. I broke up with Seryoza, she texted Nastya. You did what? Came the instant reply. That's a blessing. We should celebrate right away. Don't feel sorry for yourself. And most importantly, don't reach out to him, don't call him, no matter what happens. Even if you think you've made the biggest mistake of your life. Don't call, remember? Oksana couldn't help but smile. Nastya may be flighty and sometimes short-tempered, but she was a wonderful friend. She always spoke her mind honestly, without judgment, and would support any decision. Nastya had never liked Sergey, but for Oksana's sake, she had tried to be friends with him sincerely. Yet she never hid her belief that Oksana deserved better. Oksana's thoughts returned to Nikita. She felt a twinge of disappointment that her friend hadn't noticed what a great guy he was. Oksana didn't want to push or pressure Nastya, but maybe she would consider the words spoken earlier and decide to mature a little. Perhaps a guy like Nikita would be perfect for her. Nastya's voice interrupted Oksana's Sunday morning as she received a phone call. You have no idea what just happened. It's 9 in the morning on a Sunday. I don't want to imagine anything, Oksana snapped. If you've met the new guy of your dreams, I'll be happy for you and ready to listen to how wonderful, extraordinary, and unique he is, but only after 1 o'clock. Right now, I'm sorry, but I need more sleep. Wait, Nastya shouted. Don't hang up. It's not about the guy, or rather, it's not about the new guy. Oh, forget it. It's pointless to talk to you like this. I'll be right over. You have about 40 minutes. Get up and freshen up. And don't even think about not opening the door for me. I'll keep calling nonstop. You sound upset, Oksana stated. Fine, I'll get up. Hopefully, this conversation will be about something truly worthwhile. Of course, it's about something worthwhile. All my conversations, Nastya began. Enough, Oksana interrupted her. Don't deprive me of another 20 minutes of sleep. Let me know when you get here. So, what's going on? Oksana asked, opening the door for her friend. What happened? It's not about me, it's about you, Nastya answered. Nikita has been messaging me since last night. Why is he contacting me? Oksana was surprised. Why me? Because he wants to meet, Nastya declared solemnly. With whom? Oksana clarified. With both of us, Nastya announced. Nastya, Oksana leaned against the hallway wall. Nikita is just being polite. He wants to see you, and he mentioned me out of courtesy. Can you at least make me a cup of tea? Nastya asked, avoiding the question. Yes, of course, let's go, Oksana said. Are you planning to meet him? I'm not, Nastya replied. If you like him, we can arrange another meeting with all three of us. Or even better, you can go on a date just the two of you, without any unnecessary intermediaries. Nastya, I don't understand why you think. Oksana began. He told me, Nastya interrupted her friend. He apologized. He said I was cool, but that we were too different. And he mentioned that you completely charmed him. That's why I came to ask you what you think of him. Although I already know you like him, otherwise you wouldn't have broken up with your Syrioshenka. Oksana sighed. Well, yes, I like him, but Nastya, it's out of the question for me to go out with him. He's your ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend, Nastya said. It does matter, Oksana. Look, it's just a silly rule not to date your girlfriend's exes. And in this case, we dated him a long time ago. It was our first silly high school crush. You were right. We don't know each other at all now. He's a different person than he was in high school. And I'm different too. We have nothing in common anymore. And you and he are right for each other. You could make a great couple. I really want you to give it a try. And I truly appreciate that Nikita had the courage to tell me how he felt about you. It actually made me respect him. Oksana smiled. It's still somehow. Oksana, just say yes. Let go of all the guilt and listen to your heart, Nastya urged. Okay, I'll meet him, Oksana agreed. Without me? Nastya asked hopefully. You see, last night I decided to go to the store for milk, and oh my god, Oksana exclaimed, waving her hands. Don't tell me you managed to meet someone. Well, yes, Nastya nodded. He also loves coffee in the morning and stopped at the store to buy some. And it was fate, Oksana finished. Nastya lowered her head. Now that I don't tell you his number. You will, Oksana replied with a laugh. You're too eager for us to meet. And by the way, why do you have to give me his number? He's a man, shouldn't he do everything? He already has your number, Nastya answered. I'll just give you his number just in case. Anyway, let's have breakfast, and then we'll go shopping. We need to buy something new. We have dates tonight. I haven't actually been asked out yet, Oksana reminded her. It's just a matter of technique. Nastya waved her hand. He will. I'm sure he will. Oksana felt her palms sweat with excitement. It had been ages since her last date, and now she wondered how she would handle this one. What would she say? The last time they were together, Nastya had been the chatterbox, filling the air with conversation. What if Nikita had only liked her because Nastya was there? Would he find her boring and uninteresting now that she would be alone? Doubt clouded Oksana's mind as she stared at the door of the restaurant. Maybe she should just turn around and go home. It wouldn't be pretty, but she could come up with a presentable excuse and... I thought I made a pretty good impression on you last time. A familiar voice sounded behind her. Of course, my lateness today doesn't speak in my favor, but I don't think that's a reason to doubt. Oksana turned around and found herself face to face with Nikita, who was smiling broadly. Are you making fun of me? She asked, her voice filled with uncertainty. He shrugged. I'm nervous too. Jokes are my way of dealing with anxiety. I didn't mean to offend you. he admitted, suddenly becoming nervous himself. I've been acting like a jerk, and… Wait, Oksana interrupted him. Last time we met, neither of us wanted to like each other. I wanted to help Nastya, and you liked Nastya. That's why it was easy for us. But now, I already like you. I think you're great. And I think you're great too, and I also think you're very smart, Nikita responded eagerly. Let's try to relax and just get to know each other. Talk about our tastes, preferences, anything. No pressure. If it works, great. If not, he shrugged, then it's not meant to be. That's an excellent suggestion, Oksana agreed, feeling a sense of relief. Shall we? They entered the cafe, found a table, and placed their orders. You had the fish last time too. Do you not eat meat? Nikita asked. Oh, I do, Oksana replied. But I actually prefer fish. What about you? What's your favorite food? With this question, Oksana turned the key in the invisible door, and the floodgates of conversation opened. Oksana found herself once again enchanted by Nikita's great sense of humor. She hadn't laughed so much in a long time. How is it that such a great guy doesn't have a girlfriend? She blurted out without thinking, immediately regretting her question. If she asked him that, he might as well inquire about her past relationships. While she had planned to tell him about Sergei, she hadn't intended to do so on the first date. Nikita suddenly grew serious. I actually had a girlfriend, he confessed. We broke up about 4 months ago. It was her decision. At first, I was upset, but now I believe it's for the best. I wasn't ready for a new relationship. Then Nastya contacted me. Memories came flooding back, and I felt a strong desire to see her. I thought maybe we could go out as friends. When we first met, it became apparent that we were quite different, making a romantic relationship unlikely. Nevertheless, I genuinely enjoyed her company and her lightheartedness. It was something that had been missing from my life, and I thought it would be nice to be friends. When I called her for a second meeting, and she mentioned bringing a friend, I got excited. I thought we were on the same page. And then, when I saw you, he shook his head with a slight smile. I was immediately drawn to you. And I feel the same way, Oksana admitted, her voice filled with confusion. And what about your relationship history? Nikita inquired. She let out a sigh. I walked right into that one, she muttered. I had planned to tell you, but I won't hide it. Though I thought I would wait until the second or third date. Just, please don't jump to conclusions, she pleaded. In any case, I recently ended things with my boyfriend. Nikita raised an eyebrow in surprise. That's unexpected, he remarked. So why do you need me? To help you forget about him? Oksana paused for a moment, contemplating her response. No, she finally replied. I don't need you to forget about him. I need you because I want to explore something new, something genuine. I want to see where this connection between us leads, without any expectations or comparisons to the past. I want to get to know you and see if there's a potential for something special between us. Nikita's expression softened and he smiled warmly. I appreciate your honesty, he said. Let's take things one step at a time and see where this journey takes us. No pressure, no rush. Oksana nodded, feeling a sense of relief. They continued their conversation, diving into various topics and getting to know each other on a deeper level. The invisible door of their connection had been opened, and both of them were eager to explore the possibilities that lay beyond. No, it's not like that, believe me, Oksana began, her voice filled with sincerity. We were together for about 4 years. Things started to go downhill about 2 years ago. I was expecting him to propose, but he never did. I felt hurt and angry. I started pressuring him and throwing tantrums, demanding a wedding. We almost broke up at that point. Looking back, we probably should have ended things then, but for some reason, I was afraid. Maybe I was afraid of being alone. I'm not entirely sure. We had a conversation, and he admitted that he wasn't ready for marriage. I agreed to wait and stopped bringing up the topic. Things seemed to normalize, but deep down, our relationship was already over. We were just pretending, going through the motions. We met a couple of times a week, didn't even call each other every day. It was just coexistence, she sighed, shaking her head. Nikita, I don't want to forget about him. But I really like you. I genuinely like you. And I don't know what else to say. It's okay, Nikita reassured her. I understand. Just promise me that if you ever realize that you miss him, that you want to get back together, you'll tell me honestly. Right now, it might feel like it's over between you two, but things can change. I promise, Oksana nodded earnestly. I'll let you know right away. But honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. It's already been over for a long time. All right, let's change the subject, Nikita suggested. Why didn't Nastya come today? Wasn't she going to supervise our first date? Oksana couldn't help but chuckle. She was supposed to be here. Then I wouldn't have asked that silly question about exes. But our guardian angel went on a date herself. Last night, she went to the store for milk and ended up meeting the perfect coffee lover. They have a date tonight. Do you think it will work out? Nikita inquired. I don't know, Oksana replied, shaking her head. But one thing I'm certain of is that Nastya will find love and happiness. She deserves it. Nikita reached out and gently squeezed Oksana's fingers. I believe that not only Nastya will find happiness, but you and I as well. Together. I think so too, Oksana whispered, a genuine smile gracing her lips. And with that, their journey of discovering each other and embracing new possibilities began. Thank you for subscribing and like it.